Hi, host Eric here, host talking with fan people. And what I'm doing is making a video for two people, two comments. One for Gord Thor, who talked about the INTP, thing. This is not the first person that I've had talk to me about this of late, and I wanted to cover the issue in conjunction with another comment I received from one Pia Jasaf 3. Okay, so Jasaf 3 says, do you think that each letter is whenever one is in possession of a trait given at birth in one's brain? Metaphors, tension, senses, intensity, emotion, cloudiness, plus moral compass, motivation, control, neurological dopamine amounts, numbness of senses, development of emotionally judging parts of the brain, the way the brain associates motivation with information. That explain why ENTPs are natural improvisers and ISFJs tend to be unstably stable. What do you think? Well, okay. And the other comment that's relevant here is Gord Thor's comment, which is a little ways back. Well, basically, Gord Thor is saying in this comment, there it is. I've been convinced for some time now that I am between an INTJ and an INTP, maybe not 50-50, but pretty close. I can really relate to Courtney in this video, not the Courtney that has recently been in videos, INTJ Courtney. But audio or visual alone isn't the best way for me. I learn best with both audio and visual stimuli. I've always said 50-50 right-left brain. On cognitive functions, I test 80 to 95% for NI, NE, and TI, and TE. It seems to me like I do use all of them. It's unmistakable that I match best with the reasoning patterns of most traits of INTJ, but every time I watch a bunch of INTP videos, I resonate so much with them that I question again whether I in fact am an INTP. People have always told me that I am a perfectionist, but as I get older, I'm not so concerned with keeping everything in perfect order. I realize that it is said that INTJs become more like INTPs in their 40s. I'm the epitome of a constructivist as I understand an INTP trait. Socionics has INTJ, the critic is the ultimate constructivist. Socionics has Darwin pegged as an INTJ, and MBTI has him as an INTP, so I think there is at least occasional overlap between types. I know that I'm not the only INTJ or INTP that has come to this conclusion. 16 is an arbitrary number to classify people, as is 5 and 9 in other typing systems, so obviously there must be types in between. I notice your propensity to be able to read between the lines, so I'm interested in your opinion on people that don't fit neatly into 116 boxes. I think MBTI is a great tool, but I think we must be prepared to consider anomalies. I understand the general similarities between INTJs and INTPs, but I share far more traits than those. Okay, so it's really the same question, which is, what are cognitive functions, and why do they defy a single satisfactory model that explains everybody? And the answer is, cognitive functions are a manner of attention, as far as I'm concerned, in my understanding of the definition of the thing. So, there are different ways we can pay attention. We can pay attention from a impact to ourselves perspective, or we can pay an attention to a impact on others perspective. Others, I mean objects and people alike, and for ourselves, I mean the body and the spirit alike. So when we try to break down all of regular human experience in terms of cognition, we have to make some categories. And the cognitive function model is effective at providing those categories and the language that we use to dissect what it is we're doing in our brain. We can understand how manners of attention are exclusive of one another by thinking about the most basic distinction between a manner of attention, which would be paying attention to the sights and sounds around you. And this is often the goal of some kinds of Buddhist meditation, where when they ask the question, what is the sound of one hand clapping? The answer to it is all the sounds around you. And so the purpose of that Buddhist koan is to get people to quiet the monkey mind, which is continually prattling language, and cause one to extrovert one's sensing. You can imagine yourself being put in that situation if you were being hunted by a tiger or something in the jungle, or by another human being. All of your senses would be reaching out for every piece of information they could get from the outside world relevant to this moment and what's happening around you. So if you're doing that, if you're focusing on that stuff, to focus means to narrow the scope of what one is attending to. Right now, I'm picking my nail with this pen, absent-mindedly, as they would say, which means I'm not really paying attention to it. But it's the sort of thing that one can do without paying a whole lot of attention, because I'm not trying to achieve anything except the feeling of this going underneath my nail, really. It's not like I need to clean my nail with this. I'm fidgeting, which is a way that I'm not attending to my body. I'm bouncing my knee up and down at the same time. I'm aware of it because I'm making a video primarily, but sometimes I just let myself do it, and sometimes it bugs me because it makes the video shaky or something. Regardless, when we think about it as a manner of attention, we understand that a personality type reflects habits and natural inclinations alike. I'm convinced that Delilah was born an ENTP. And I also see reasons to suspect that upbringing has something to do with it, which would seem to be contradictory beliefs. The reason for this is because it's both. I don't know, but the point is, it's a taxonomical tool. It's not a model. People want it to be a model and to have it be predictive and to have it be falsifiable and all these other things that models allow one to do to them. But just because it doesn't function like a model doesn't mean it's not an excellent mechanism by which humans can improve their own human capacities. So when Gord Thor indicates that he tests NINETITE, okay, so my perspective on the use of functions that are not in your conscious stack, quote unquote, is that basically I have 4 levels of natural competency: intuition, thinking, feeling, and sensing. And for me, they go in that order of strength. Do I use introverted intuition a lot? Yeah, but I use it in conjunction with extroverted intuition. I use it as the necessary counterpoint to make extroverted intuition go. So whether I'm the, it's a matter of whether I'm the horse or the cart in terms of intuition. Innie's the horse and I's the cart. They don't ever, you can't be good at one kind of intuition without having at least the ability to be good at the other kind of intuition. I remember the times when I was younger when I didn't understand the need. I didn't understand introverted intuition at all. I didn't trust it at all was the problem. And that's what I had to understand, was that you just have to trust it. You can't explain. That's the problem. That's what I didn't like about it. As an extroverted intuitor, I can think of all the reasons why something might not be the best option or might not be the right choice. And that's what makes it difficult for somebody who's naturally inclined towards generating associations off of things, is going to run afoul of with introverted intuition. I'm used to approaching everything with, well, but here are some other ways we could do it. And when you're using introverted intuition, it's the opposite process. It's, let's get rid of all those extraneous ways. Let's just find the one way that we are going to do it. If you're going to do shit, you need to have that bridge, because otherwise you're just never doing any of the possibilities, always thinking about them. So I suspect that in terms of capacity to exercise a manner of attention effectively, I certainly exercise introverted intuition very effectively when I exercise it, which is in a fairly narrow field of things. I exercise it in media creating, for sure, of all sorts. Of course, that's what I'm doing with most of my time. So I'm actually using introverted intuition a lot, all day, every day, intermittently between, I use it most effectively and most clearly when I'm making editing decisions and stuff. But I'm using it right now in the sense that I'm aware of what is going to be worth saying or not. Less so. It's when I'm freestyling stuff, like I'm improvising this, there's a quality of my mind being too busy to pay attention to what introverted intuition is doing, but I know it must be doing something, keeping me on track or something. I don't know. As far as the thinking goes, a lot of people will indicate that extroverted thinking includes the capacity to explain things to others. That if you are good at rephrasing things, coming up with different ways of describing it so that people can conceptually own it, which for me is often done through analogy, and which I'm particularly good at doing, well then obviously I'm really strong at extroverted thinking. I'm also strong at it in more, and that's very much the idea of writing down a bunch of lesson plans and protocols for a business, which I did in my previous capacity as a director. I was extroverted thinking by most people's definition of it, because it's about making results in the world rather than about knowing whether there's gonna, it's basically, do you want to get shit done or do you want to get shit done right? Do you want to get shit done now or do you want to get shit done right? If you want to get shit done right, then you really need to know a lot ahead of it. In fact, you can spend your whole life preparing past knowledge and logical connections and associations and stuff to make sure you anticipate it as much as you possibly can and really understand the system before you take any action within a system. Then you're an INTP and you've got problems. Worlds don't work like that. You can't anticipate all those variables, and INTPs need to get over that shit. So when Gord Thor says he feels 50-50, or he tests 50-50, I would say here's an example of what I suppose I could probably do. I could probably go into INFJ mode for a while. At least the first two functions. I could probably go into NIFE mode. It would be NI supporting FE rather than FE supporting NI, but it would look like an INFJ kind of if I really tried. I think I could pull off INFJ for a while. It would be tiring because at least I could pull off a display of the INFJ. It wouldn't really be an INFJ. It would be an extroverted intuitor executing that possibility. And for kicks, I could totally do it because I know how they operate. The problem I have is I'd have to really attend carefully to remembering to prioritize FE. And then if I relied on, I'd have to rely then more on NI, I think, to give me the truth about other people and their feelings and just be satisfied with that truth. I think I could do it, but it would just seem like not interesting enough or something. I don't know. As for the bottom part of the stack, what it's like to be SC in the fourth slot, or what it's like to be TI in the third. The TI in the third I could do. I understand that, I think. It's the fourth slot one would give me some troubles. I don't know what that means exactly. But I do understand INFJs well. They're not the same relationship to ENTP as INTP is to INTJ, though. And when you're talking about INTJ, you're saying the same order, so it would be more like me being like an ENTJ. Well, people have said to me before that if they were going to mistype me, they'd probably mistype me as an ENTJ. And I think if you were to evaluate me in the capacity of sitting here in front of this thing that looks kind of neat and tidy, and you don't get to see what's behind the camera, which is this, a bunch of aluminum cans, soda cans, and bong, and crap all over the place, and the normal stuff. If you don't see any of that stuff, then you might initially conclude I'm an ENTJ because I'm authoritative in how I speak and successful in conveying information to you in an orderly fashion when I'm focused on doing so. It depends. If you catch certain videos of mine, you might conclude I'm an ENTJ. But the reason I don't self-identify as one is because I know what my go-to order is, and my order is NE. Of course, using NE means NI's along for the ride. That's got the cart there. It's with me the whole time. And my next order is TI. Of course, there's the cart part of TI too, which is TE, which is my TI is great, but somewhere I got to explain it to you. Got to make it useful to you so that it'd be useful to me. You can't be useful to me if I can't make my introverted thinking useful to you. And then as far as the third level is the F's, well, I know that I'm happy when other people are happy with me. So, like when that lady commented this morning and said how much the joke I made on the MBTI video, MBTI video, the depression anxiety video that host Ken made with Damon and Trey and assorted others. That video, somebody commented when I popped in and said, yes, I suck at motherfuckers, that it was funny. And when I read that, that made me happy. I believed her comment. That she's like, I was laughing so hard, ha ha ha. I believed it enough that it made me happy because I really like making other people laugh. When I make a good joke and people laugh, like, despite themselves, heartily, in a reflexive fashion that's not forced at all or considered, that has no FE behind it, that is one of the most satisfying experiences I ever have, for sure. So, I know that. I do know my own feelings. I know that made me happy. Made me super happy. So, I mean, I've rewatched that part now several times because Basement Overlord said it was funny, and that lady said it was funny. And so, I mean, I thought it was cool. I thought that the way I was able to come in there and chime in, the timing the way it was cool. And then I thought it was probably pretty funny, but I didn't really know until somebody says it, and then I'm like, oh, that makes me so happy. That's cool. That makes me seem cool or something, Obviously, sensing is my last function. Making shit happen out in the world, actually putting fingers to typewriter, pushing the button on the camera, shit like that, making shit happen. I don't know. I mostly get my extroverted sensing when I'm driving, and then I'm paying attention to what's going on in my eyes. It's best if there's road that I can do something with. I hate driving in traffic for that reason. Introverted sensing, just terrible at it. I'm better at my feelings on some regard than I am with my introverted sensing, because at least with introverted feeling, I know I can reliably count on your emotions to guide my emotions. And with introverted sensing, it's, I was sitting here cold for a long ass time before I brought the heater in here, and it's not well positioned. And, like, this is where, like, the cart and the horse is bad, and the cart is not very helpful. So the horse is SI, introverted sensing. It's saying, like, hey, you're cold. Hey, stop scratching yourself with that. You're going to leave those little red lines all over you, and you're going to not be happy you did that. And look at your leg. Oh my God. It's all full of red lines because you've been scratching yourself for no reason except you started scratching yourself, so then you started getting itchy because you were scratching yourself. So, I mean, that's introverted sensing. Put on a fucking jacket, moron. Anyway, manners of attention. So, are you probably NNTT? Probably. The question is, what's your native N? Which is the horse and which is the cart? Gord, Thor. That's the question. And, also, how much has your life been coordinated to complement your nature versus how much have you had to force your square peggedness into a round hole? That is an important question as well. And so, is it something you're born with? Probably. I imagine Delilah scrunching her forehead up and trying to figure shit out. Trying to make shit happen. Trying to, in the womb. I can tell. It's like she came out of the womb like, fucking what the fuck? And like, this body doesn't work. What the fuck is up with this shit? She came out of the womb like that, I'm telling you. I don't know. It's a flexible description. It grows upon us uniquely and ergonomically until it fits our own shape, this model, this taxonomy. And then once we try to fit it on other people, it doesn't quite fit on them because they have different understandings of what those words mean. Casual INTP's got crazy nonsense understandings of what the word introverted intuition means, for example. He thinks daydreaming is introverted intuition. Okay, maybe it is for him. As long as the tool works, that's his ergonomically designed tool. People keep wanting to find a single model that explains everything. Never going to happen. We'll have some sets of descriptions of or understandings of cognitive functions that fit larger demographics, others that fit smaller demographics. Nothing's going to fit the whole population.